I believe it was Proverbs 1:26 in the Bible where it says that the Lord will laugh at your calamity and the Lord will mock you and bring all your fears upon you or laugh at your fears. So pretty much the God of this world will pretty much laugh at you when you're going through things in life, when you're having depression, when you're stuck in economic situations that you can't get out of. And even if you do get a job or go to school, you still never be a millionaire. And your heart yearns for that power. Your heart yearns for that freedom. But that's very telling that in the Bible, this God will look at certain people and laugh about the things that they're going through. Does that sound like a loving, caring God to you? Honestly. And recently I've been talking to, I would say this is my friend, but we don't talk like all the time. But he recently checked up on me. And messaged me on Instagram, and he did invite me a few months ago to come to his little brother's wedding or whatever. But due to my circumstances, I can't really do that, right? I can't really, just get up and go places like that. So basically I didn't go or whatever. But he was just talking to me, earlier and just showing me like pictures and stuff from like his little brother's wedding and all that. And I'm looking at it and it's crazy because I see how much his little brother has grown, right? And I seen the girl he married, and within a couple of seconds I knew she was a thought. But what really made me kind of, it triggered me, I guess, is that there was this one girl at the wedding too that I used to kind of know and kind of liked, and she kind of just went behind my back, and this girl, she is pretty much living her best life. But this is a girl that did me wrong. This is a girl that, totally used me and totally destroyed me in a way, emotionally at least. But I was happy and I was proud, for the homie's little brother or whatever, and and all that, and he asked about me and all that. And of course, I just set the standard. Okay, oh man, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine, man. Well, can't really tell them that I'm in hell and going through it, right? Because you know how people are. These guys are kind of like normies. But these used to be my smoking buddies years ago, right? But anyway, this girl, her name's Labby or whatever, and I used to always smoke with her. She used to be somebody that, and you may think like, what? You didn't hit it from the back or make that nanny smack. It's like, nah, not with her, because she never looked at me like that. And she would always use me for, how can I say this by staying in YouTube's guidelines? She used me for marijuana, let's just say that. Or I'm called the green stuff, just to be safe. Hate censoring myself, but she used to ask me for the green stuff because at one time, bro, remember I was a neat for a long time, so I just had some green stuff on me from time to time. And then, me and the homies or whatever, we would just go to these temp agencies and we would save up enough bread and then we'll start just buying a whole bunch of green and then, selling it here and there to keep a little money up. But sometimes we would just blaze it. But long story short, this girl Labby, I met her at my homie Kevin's little kickback, and she had came through or whatever. She had a couple of homegirls with her. And, at the time I dreamed I was gonna be a rapper and all that. And I started rapping and she got impressed, and so pretty much I got her number or whatever. She was like, hey, rap star, take my number down. I'm like, sure. I'm like, for sure. At the time, if I'm thinking I'm all cool and all that. There's some of the homies tease, man, you ain't gonna hit that, blah, 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 man, pass it out here, blah, blah, blah. But little did I know, man, this girl was pretty much doing the whole squad, doing everybody in the squad except me. And then I come to find out later it's because she said that I was too much of a good guy. I kid you not. That's literally what she said, like I'm too much of a good guy, because she said it to my face too, But this girl Labby, man, it's when I seen her like at my homies, like wedding photos or whatever, like, because like I guess he still talks to her, keeps in contact with her, and invited her and some guy she was with some tall Chad Riguez type of person, because Labby's Hispanic, But with her, man, there was so many times where I pour my soul out to her and talk to her about my dreams of being a rapper and all that, and I expressed to her how many times that I liked her and I wanted to be with her and stuff like that. So it was like a blast from the past. And then I'm looking at like where I'm at in life, and I'm looking at where she's at in life, and it's just like a 360 life no scope. It's just like and I'm the one that got decapitated. I'm the one that got that fatal cerebral devastation. It's just like, wow, this is the girl where I would have to like tell my homies like, hey man, this girl somewhere like she be at some random person's house, right? And I would try to tell my homie, hey man, let's pick her up and blah blah blah. He's like, man, she gonna do the team, she gonna and I'm like, nah man, she's kinda like my homegirl, she's kinda like my friend or whatever. He's like, friend. He's like, man, blah blah blah. Then I'll have to scrape up some money and then pay for gas and pay for some kush and go and pick her up and stuff like that. Cause I didn't have a car. And I still don't have a damn car, right? This is a girl that I've done a lot for, man. I remember a couple of times when I was working, at the Conservation Corps. I mean, I remember paying her phone bill a couple of times and all that. Like, and what's crazy is because, I've never really had a real girlfriend like that. So I thought that me and her got close because remember I was blue pilled at one time. I'm thinking that you have to be friends with a girl first and all that. I didn't know that if a girl likes you, she's going to drop those panties for you the first night you meet. I didn't know that then. I was blue pilled, right? And I did have suspicions. I'm not going to sit here and say I was just totally just ignorant and blue pilled. I kind of knew that girls like what they like, but I was just thinking that blue pilled mindset of like, you have to like nurture the girl. You have to like become good friends with them, and you have to be a nice gentleman. And the reason why those other guys, were able to sleep with her so fast is because, they were more handsome than me. Yeah, they were more richer than me, but most of all, they were gentlemen and all that. And even though I seen it at the time, people didn't open doors, for her, but I would open doors for her and be all this nice and polite. And I remember one time she actually rolled her eyes at me because I opened the door for her. But long story short, it's like me and this girl, Labby, bro, I remember so many times just like when we would kick it, like in the little friend group or whatever, and then me and her just talking and smoking. There's been times that she would come over to my house late at night. I remember having her sleep in the garage. I remember one time I had her actually sleep in my room. Like I told her she could stay in the room or whatever, and I'll go in the garage and shit like that. It was like some anime stuff, bro. You remember like on the anime, like whenever they're in the anime, they get like a lodge or something, and then they're like, oh my god, there's only one bed, and then like the guy's face turns red, and the anime girl's face turned red. It was like some real life situations like that. It was just like, wow. But it was times like that. I'll make sure like, because sometimes she'll come unannounced, or sometimes she'll say she's want to come out and kick it, But every time I tried to like get it popping, panties dropping, I'm talking about trying to like, try to, go for a kiss or maybe try to touch her leg and stuff. She'd be like, stop. She's like, ew, no. And she'll call my name out and be like, stop. She's like, no, I'm not here for that. We're friends, But come to find out, bro, I always noticed this though. I didn't want to notice it at the time. And even now, as I bring it up, it kind of hurts because I noticed that she would only come around like when I got paid, and when I had a lot of kush. Because at the time I was at the Conservation Corps of Long Beach or whatever. And we would get paid like once every other week, So it was like I get paid this Friday and I'm broke another week and I gotta wait another week, and it was like that. And I noticed that she would always come around whenever I had my paycheck, whenever I had a lot of kush, and ask me for some bread and stuff. And like I look back at it now, like I was so just stupid, like not even a hand job, not even a BJ, not even anything. You're just sitting there simping for this girl because she showed me attention. Like she would text me sometimes, like good morning and stuff with a smiley face, and she'd be like, you got any weed or whatever? I'm like, hell yeah, I do. You trying to smoke? She's like, yeah. She's like, oh, but I don't have any money. I'm like, well, do you got enough to get a couple of swishers? No, I don't even got that. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, that's cool. That's fine. I was like, hey, I'm gonna text JD and we're gonna pick you up and and I text my other homie and he'll be bitching about gas. Oh man, I ain't got gas, go whatever, blah blah blah, because she lived in Pico Rivera, and if you know anything about Pico Rivera, it's not really it's not really good for people that look like me to be over there, because I had some ops in Pico Rivera. Let's just put it that way, and like it's a Hispanic community, and it's like everybody's Hispanic. Like you look in the Jack in the Box and look at the Jack in the Box, it's Hispanic. You go in the restaurants, it's Hispanic. The liquor store is Hispanic. Everybody driving around, so it's like a Hispanic city, Pico Rivera. And if you like a black guy, it's kind of like you stand out. You get the frowns, you get the stares, you get people mad dogging at you. There's gangs out there that they active, they really with it. So we rolled down here because my homie JD, his car windows was kind of tinted. So but anyway. We'll pick her up, and and then JD be trying to smash or trying to talk to her, but then at the same time, he gets rejected too, and then he knows I have feelings for her. But it was just, I just remember those times, like when I seen her in a couple of those photos or whatever that my friend was showing, from his little brother's wedding, because I guess they still keep in contact. I guess they kept in contact enough that she got invited to the wedding, and she brought her Chad Rodriguez. But it was like, I remember those nights, I remember like late at night, not having a swisher, but like we got Kush or whatever, we would walk to 7-Eleven, and we'll just be talking about life, talking about our dreams. I remember she wanted to become a hairstylist, if I'm not mistaken. It was that, or she wanted to be a what's that shit? What's it called when they study marine animals? Damn it, I just left my mind. But she wanted to be the people that study like whales and dolphins and shit like that. That was like her dream job. But like her real job that she wanted was to be like a hairstylist or whatever. But then like but she was interested in that marine stuff or whatever. It was something like that if I remember. And I remember she had a brother. Her brother couldn't stand me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like me and him almost got into it a few times. But it's just like when I seen Labby, man, like those emotions in my heart started to turn again. And I don't know, bro. It's like when you're a lonely guy, bro, you have like females that are kind of nice to you every once in a while or something like that. It does something to you. But long story short, man, when it came to Labby, bro, she was like my girl best friend in a way. But she knew I had feelings about it because I told her straight up. I remember, just telling her, I said, Labby, I love you. I told her that. I looked in her eyes and it was like some movie shit. I was like, Labby, I love you. I got feelings for first. I remember like a month before that, I told her I got feelings for. We were smoking and coughing, and I was like, Labby, I got feelings for you. She like, I got feelings for you too. She started like laughing, but she wasn't taking it serious. And then like, you know, one time, was kicking it, because sometimes she would have her homegirl, like some of her homegirls, even like a Chad, drop her off and be like, and tell them to come back in like a couple of hours. And it should be me and her. We'd be chilling in my garage or whatever, or sometimes like everybody in my grandma's house at the time was gone. We'd be chilling in my room, but nothing ever, I tried, bro. I'm telling you, I've tried to do the little moves, but as a guy that's not really confident around females like that, the little moves I do is kind of like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't have that much experience with females like that, at the time. And even now, so it's like, it'd be like little shit, like we playing Xbox, we take turns playing, Call of Duty or whatever the hell we was playing at the time, and she sucked, of course, but I'll be making up games like, oh, if you die, or if you lose this match, you gotta give me a kiss on the cheek, or I gotta kiss you on the cheek, and she would never agree to that, and she told me straight up, when I told her I loved her or whatever, she said, I just want to be friends, and that's how you know it's over, guys, when a girl tells you that she just want to be friends after you just poured her heart out to her, after you like you had like financial investments in her. That's why I tell you, young men, man, never make financial investments with females, bro. If she ain't giving you no coochie or no booty, or she ain't giving you no top, and a foreign drop, if she ain't giving you no top and she ain't giving you no slop, don't give her no guap, don't give her nothing, at all. And come to find out, bro. I remember, and she told me to my face too. She said my name, and she was like, "You're too much of a nice guy." She's like, I don't want to hurt you. It's like, if we ever did date or whatever, I don't want to hurt you, so no. And like looking back at that, I kind of believed it at the time, but now being the black pill villain, or I was the black pill villain, but I'm looking at that. That's all cool. She just didn't like you. She was just using me because she knew that with me, I have my homies, give her rides and shit, I pay them, and I'd have the kush on deck. And so she would just use me to smoke. Like she would use me to get smoked out and then go over to Chad Rodriguez to get the D, and this is brutal. When I think about it now, I'm like, damn, bro, you really got kind of cucked right there, because I don't know. What's crazy? It's crazy. Is like I met her mom. I met her mom like 2 times or whatever. Like one time she was cool. She was making like enchiladas, and they had like these nachos. That shit was fire. But they were having like a kind of like a little kickback at their tilt. And I brought some of my homies or whatever, and I was like one of the only ninjas there, because this time JD didn't come, like he'd be one of my ninjas that used to drive around and stuff, but I went with some of my Mexican homies or whatever, and a couple of my Asian homies. It was like a little get together, whatever they were having, and the mom was cool. And then I met her the second time, and then the mom was like, she was like, oh, did you like my daughter? And I was like, yeah, I do. She's like, oh, well, she likes this, she likes that, and she likes these type of flowers and all this, that, and stuff. You know, I remember that. And I always remembered that, like, damn, like the mom, like, I remember actually one paycheck, which I shouldn't have done, is I actually went and got her those type of flowers and trying to be nice and all that. And she just looked at it like it was nothing. And I remember one of the homies, he was trying to tell me the whole time, he was like, bro, you can't turn a hoe to the house to a housewife. And I didn't want to hear it because he was telling me that secretly she was doing the squad, she was doing the gang. I didn't want to believe that shit. Oh, no, I don't believe that shit. Hell no, she ain't doing the gang. And then what's fucked up is that people around me, they were kind of keeping quiet about it. Like a lot of my friend group were kind of keeping quiet. But there was a couple of people in my friend group was telling me, bro, why you like Labby so much, bro? She's a hoe. I'm thinking, nah, she's not a hoe, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to cope. I was trying to cope at the time. It's just so brutal. When you're a lonely guy that gets rejected all the time, it's so brutal, bro. It really is. But come to find out I had evidence, one person in my friend group, pretty boy, whatever, my friend group, whatever, he pretty much was like, hey, bro, he put me to the side, he's like, bro, he's like, bro, how did you give Labby? Because I remember, me and him went, like, we went half on like an ounce or whatever, right? And then like within a couple of days, I was pretty much out. And he was like, bro, what the hell? He's like, bro, we just got an ounce the other day. How the hell you almost out? I told him that I gave, Labby, most of it or whatever. And he was like, bro, like, why? He's like, look, man, I'm gonna tell you something straight up, bro. Labby would come to like, me and a few others, and she would like, you know, pretty much, how do I say this without making YouTube mad? She would give us fellatio with a high ratio, for a little bit of kush. I didn't believe it. And then he pulled out his phone and showed the video. To this day, bro, when I seen, Labby and her beautiful eyes that she had, her beautiful brown eyes, and she just doing that, like to the homie, and I'm seeing in the video, and the video was him getting slopped in his car. I'm like, God damn, you see, and it was so graphic. My heart like jumped out of my neck. It jumped out of my chest. It jumped down to the abyss when I seen that. And the video was like 7 minutes, you know, and I'm just like, what the, like, I couldn't believe it. And this was way before AI or anything like that, so this was the real deal. And then he had other videos. But when I seen that first video, you know, she like give him a slop in the car. And it's like, you see like there's some like nut on her face too, like a little bit around her lips and all that, and it's like, what the fuck, and then like he's getting slapped and he kind of pulls the phone up and you see like they're in like some grocery store. I think they're at a Rouse. They're like in a Rouse parking lot. Because he pulled the phone up, because he had to adjust himself because he pulled his pants down more. And then, like the phone goes up, you see the backgrounds like Ralph's and some other stores. There's like a Jiffy Lube to the right. I'm like, damn, he's just getting top. And he starts screwing her mouth. And then, he's like, bruh, he's like, you okay? I just quiet. He's like, got another one for you. And then, and then he has another one where he's like hitting it from the back, at her house. I'm like, what the fuck? And when you actually fall in love with a girl, man, you can never think that she's a thought, especially when you're blue pill. But it's like, you don't want to believe certain things about certain females, bro. I don't know if you guys even get that to this day. Like when I see an ASMR girl, then I find out she does only frauds or only fans or whatever. It doesn't break my heart anymore. But the first couple of times it did, because I thought this girl was a sweet, innocent girl, just whispering in people's ears. And, then you find out they're actually thoughts and bops. It changes your whole perspective on females, though, But my friend showed me that, and I was like, are you guys going now? He's like, hell no, we ain't going now. He's like, but like, bro, I got a girlfriend. And the homie had a girlfriend at this time, So, but Labby she would come over and like ask him for kush and give him top. And he never paid her phone bill. He never bought her. I used to buy this girl food, bro. Like I remember, like this was the time. I don't know if y'all remember this, but this was the time when Jack in the Box had those double chicken sandwiches. Like you get like it would be like a double chicken sandwich, with the bacon and the extra cheese and all that. They got rid of it now, but this is the time when Jack in the Box had those double chicken sandwiches. Me and her we used to get that all the time, and we would smoke, walk to Jack in the Box or hit up JD or whatever and just get the double chicken sandwiches. I'll buy her milkshakes, the Oreo cookies milkshake or whatever, and all that, And it was just like, I'm thinking the homie didn't have to do anything like that, But he was a pretty boy though, light skinned, a light skinned black ninja, and he was like, bro, he's like, the only thing I ever gave her was some weed and some D. I'm like, damn. And what made it even worse, bro, is that he was like, yeah, I ain't the only one with videos. And I kind of got mad at him. I was like, how come y'all didn't tell us? Like, bro, we tried to tell you, man, but like, we seen how happy it made you. I'm like, happy it made me. Nah, because like, you got to be real. They did try to tell me that she was a thought, but no one ever showed me the video evidence. Like I didn't know there was videos and all that, And I remember getting mad, bro. I remember like calling her, and telling her about it. I was like, what the fuck? You fucking the homies and blah, blah, blah. She's like, why do you care? She's like, I'm not your girlfriend. You don't control me. I can do whatever I want. Blah, 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 blah. And she said, I'm thinking like that hurt it even more when she said that she could do whatever she want. And she's not my girl. Cause it's like, there was times we had deep conversations. Like I remember one of the best conversations we had, bro, is like we went to like the beach late at night. It was a group of us, of course, because I didn't have a freaking car, and still don't, right? But it was like a little smoke retreat we all went on, 2 cars of people, and I remember, we go drive to the beach and we got to make sure, because at the beach closes at a certain time, right? So around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, that's usually when like the patrols and shit stop, and sometimes in the parking lots like nearby they have those automatic lights, so we would park like kind of further away and just kind of walk and then go to the beach at night and just sit down. And I remember me and her had I thought she was real. We had some good conversations, but that shit went out the window when I know she's just a thought. And when she just told me that, oh, you don't control me and blah, blah, I'm thinking, I'm like, I got you food. There was times when her family didn't, because her dad was in prison at the time. I don't know if he's out now, but her dad was in prison. I forgot for what. It was like some GTA type shit, like literally like stealing a car or something like that. But so her family wouldn't have money, and I would just get paid. I didn't get paid much. I got paid like what, $400, maybe $500 every other week, if that. But then taxes take that out, so my paycheck would look like about maybe like $350, $389, because then I had to pay like I had to pay like a dub for my uncle for driving me to work and picking me up, and then I was always the one buying kush for the homies and buying people food, and I'd buy video games and all type of shit and weed. That's what my money just went on, just video games and weed and her, so I never really saved or whatever. And then, I remember her when she said that. I remember, my friend had like a kickback like a week and a half later, right? And that's when I wanted to confront her, because the homie hit up the other homie that night, because he was like, bro, why are you yelling at that girl? That's not your girl. I was like, bro, I should give her money. He's like, bro, why? He's like, why'd you give her bread, bro? Why'd you do all that? Because I liked her. He's like, bro, I didn't have to do none of that. You know what I mean? And I got slopped up. I got sucked up, and that made me mad, made me feel inferior, that all my friends, we would come together and put our little money together and get a whole bunch of kush and try to sell it, and she would always come to me, ask me for kush, and I would never ask her to give me top. I never asked her for anything sexual. I was just being a good friend. I was being a good freaking guy. That's what they told us to be. And you get betrayed, man. You get stabbed in the back with crap like that. Just thinking about it makes my mind become incoherent. Makes my mind kind of break and sizzle and fizzle out in a way. But long story short, I confronted her at this party. But I left this part. Let me say this. But after that, so we drive to the other homie's house or whatever. You know what I mean? And because I couldn't believe it, because I thought it was just, I'm like, maybe it's just one. So we drive to the other homie's house. So he had videos on his phone too. And this is what really set me off. She gave him, like, or the other homie, she gave him top, and then gave one of his friends, that was a visit. I think he was visiting from he's visiting from the East Coast somewhere. I forget now, but he was visiting from like the East Coast or whatever. And she gave them both top. sucked them up, slopped them up. And I'm just like, what the? She's just slopping a random guy she never met. That was like her first time meeting, like, just meeting that other guy. She just slop him up. Like my other homie, of course, she been around us a lot, but he brings a random friend from another damn state and you just slop him up the first time you meet him and it's on video. And there's been times I've been trying to like get with her, trying to do, freaky things and she would always reject me. What the fuck? Just thinking about it makes me freaking angry, man. You don't know how, oh man. I wasted my life, man. Lonely men, forget about modern dating or dating of any kind. If a woman doesn't let you hit it from the back, if a woman don't give you no sloppy toppy, it's over. Simple as that. Women know what they like. They know what they want. But long story short, I went to this little kickback like a week later after all that. And this whole time I've been trying to, like call her and she answered like one time throughout that week or whatever. And it's like, all right, she got mad at me and said, no, don't talk to me no more. And I'm like, how the hell am I the bad guy? When I'm calling you out on being a thought, you're being a whore. And, I told her straight up, I was like, I told you I loved you and all I cared about you. If you wanted somebody to do that to you, could have done that with me. I cared about you, blah, blah, blah. She like, you don't control me. She kept saying that. So the kickback comes and pretty much I see her at the damn kickback, right? And I'm not going to lie, bro, I started it. You know what I mean? I go off. I'm like, hey, so you sitting here sucking everybody, blah, 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 and try to act like it's cool. And we go off. And she yells back at me, you're a freaking loser. That's why you'll never make it as a rapper. You freaking suck. And blah, blah, blah. She went off, And and it kept going and going and going. I remember this is also the time if y'all had the Four Locos. I think they did get rid of those, but at the time, it's like that canned drink, those shit. That Four Loco used to hit. A couple of those Four Locos will have you knock the hell out, bro. That was some kush, man. But she took the Four Loco, threw it at me, threw it over my shirt, you know what I mean? And, and I remember there was like this guy she was with, but it wasn't like her boy. It was like somebody, it was just his turn. And he kind of looked, but he didn't step in. That's how I know he didn't give a fuck. But eventually they left or whatever, and everybody got mad at me for starting the scene and all that. I'm just like, that just goes to show you how women are, bro. Like you can put your love, your heart, and your soul into a woman, but in her eyes, you're nothing. In her eyes, you're whatever. And when I seen her, because, the homie that hit me up a couple of months ago talking about his little brother got like a wedding and all that, and he want me to come and all that. I said I couldn't. And then when he showed me the picture that Labby was there, it just sparked all these emotions. And I just thought just to talk about it, man. But stay away from these thoughts and these bops.